Promotion Lab at DP Summit 2024. The second day is in full swing. There is tons of stuff that's going on, including technical difficulties on the Build Promotion Lab. But we are coping, we're dealing with that, and now we're live. The connection looks good. We are looking great. Michael Irwin here with me. Hello and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
But you can guess that Michael is from Docker by his shirt that you don't see. But he is. Yeah, so Michael, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being with us.
Absolutely.
And obviously Docker is containers, right? And containers are usually associated with production. This is where you like your Kubernetes chumming along and doing their container stuff, and it's production all the way. But is it only?
Well, spoiler alert, no, it's not.
All right, you didn't see it coming.
There we go.
Did you? Yeah, so let's talk about how containerization in general and Docker in particular can help the developer experience.
Absolutely.
And how can we shift left those techniques that we use for making production so awesome.
Yep.
Making the production of our production awesome as well.
Yes, absolutely. So if we take a step back and think about it, a container at the end of the day is just it's a standardized box that I can put anything I want into it, whether it's my production application, it's a database, it's a one-off developer tool. I can put anything into that box. And so, yeah, where we talk quite a bit about build once, run anywhere, and like you said, like that's the production side of things. Well, it also works going leftward in the software development lifecycle, in which I can use containers to run my development environment. And I can, the same services that I'm using in production, I can also use in local development. And so I can run my databases. If I'm using a Kafka cluster and I'm responding or publishing to events, I can run Kafka locally as well too. But then,
and this is where we have like aha moment.
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about test containers. Are you talking about test containers?
I certainly can be. So there's a lot of different ways that I can run containers locally. So test containers is in case those watching aren't familiar with it, it's a programmatic way to define the containers that I want to use. And quite often it's used in integration testing. So I can tie the life cycle of containers to the life cycle of my test. So before my tests start up, let's spin up the containers that I need, run my tests, and then when I'm done, tear it all down. So test containers provides a programmatic API to do that, and there's SDKs in a variety of different languages. But I can also use the same thing with using Compose for my local development experience. So before I press the play in IntelliJ, for example, I can use Docker Compose, spin up my containers, and start developing against that. So there's, where Compose is a little bit more of a declarative syntax, test containers is more of a programmatic approach. So
yeah, this is what you plug. You just code it into your test. Like,
absolutely.
Hey, I need a database before we can start this test.
Yep.
But for development, you might want this database to be around when you run it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
I think both test containers and Compose are around for years now, especially Compose.
Yep.
I wonder what's new on the horizon when we're talking about Docker.
Yeah, so great question. There's a lot of things that we've been working on, and it's some of our newest products that we've been releasing and talking about has been, for example, Docker Build Cloud. So when I build my images, how can I build them more efficiently? And with Build Cloud, we've got basically managed hosted runners out in the cloud that provide native AMD64 and native ARM64 builds, and they're fast. And so, especially like in ephemeral CI environments, where how do I get the caches from my previous builds? Well, by passing those out to these shared runners, now I can leverage the caches from previous builds. But I can also use those in my inner loop, and my development team can also build against that as well. So like one build can populate the cache that everybody can leverage. So that's Docker Build Cloud. Again, how do I build those images quicker? Our other
they're part of your local build, right? When you want to check if the build succeeds, you actually can delegate the actual build running to the cloud, get the results unrelated to CI before you open the pull request. You can validate that everything works, but instead of using your machine, you can use the cloud.
The cloud, yes. and what's great about it is that I don't have to change any of my tooling, or I don't have a whole different set of commands I have to run. It just integrates well. I'm basically just changing my context. So hey, instead of build happening local, it's now happening over here. But if I'm using Compose to do builds or anything else, like it just works. And that's kind of the secret sauce, the magic of it all there.
We love the stuff that just works until it doesn't.
Yeah, but we won't talk about that.
No. Yeah. All right. So Build Cloud, this is pretty exciting. What else?
Yeah, so the other big thing that we've been talking about is Docker Scout. And so when I build my image, how do I know if I built a good image? And does it meet my organizational policies around that? Maybe I've got policies around vulnerability management, so you can set some of those in place. But also, what are some other policies? So I may want to have a policy that says my image should run as a non-root user by default. Cool, that's something that Scout can help me out with. And there's several other policies that we provide out of the box, and you can also customize many of these policies as well. Where a lot of times that's done in the CI pipeline, well, how can we provide those details back to the developer in the inner loop, so then they can iterate and they can fix those issues? And if, for example, vulnerabilities, if I have a vulnerability I found in my image, did I inherit that from my base image, or did I introduce that when I built my image and kind of extended it, added my own stuff? And Scout understands the hierarchy of my images, can even give me recommendations to say, hey, you're on Python version X. If you update your base image from version X to version Y, it'll resolve this whole slew of things. And then, oh, by the way, you still introduce some of your own vulnerabilities. Let's get those fixed too. And so again, it can bring some kind of smartness of the image structures to help me have the information so that I can fix those issues before I wait for all the CI pipeline and everything else to together.
That's again, speaking about shift left and speaking about getting the most verifications before we actually do the pull request, because the difference is local build, you wait for it, you fix what's breaking. But if you send it and CI, you already do something else. Last thing you want is your CI barking at you that your build is failed, and then you need to do the context switch getting back. It's terrible.
I mean, that's why we're here at this summit, isn't it?
Exactly. No, absolutely. It's we're shifting left stuff. And the more verifications we do on a local build, while keeping it fast, the better our experience as developers are.
Absolutely.
This is awesome. Michael, thank you very much for this glimpse on what's new in Docker for developers, for you out there, folks, and that was a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see you in more episodes of the Build Promotion Lab. Right after that, we have something very special for you, and you're going to enjoy it, so stay tuned. Michael, thank you.